I almost labeled this video, I got fired, and you should too. But it's not true. You shouldn't get fired. It actually sucks. Instead, I just labeled it exactly what it is. I got fired. And nobody ever talks about it. It's not glorious. It's not awesome. There's nothing exciting about it. You watch these YouTubers, these entrepreneurs, and you see how successful they are, and you're like, wow, they are amazing. Did they just fall into that? And I got to tell you, you're only seeing one side of it. There's only one side on YouTube, and that's the success. That is the amazing side. So today, I just wanted to be a little transparent with more of you as my channel grows. Life isn't always perfect. It's not absolutely horrible either, by all means. My life is very blessed. I have 3 children, beautiful wife, and yeah, my life is good. But yes, being fired is actually a real thing out there, and nobody talks about it. You may see the successes. And so I just wanted to touch on that today, share my experience about being fired, and hopefully, even if it's somebody out there that watches this video, you can look at it and be encouraged, knowing that if you were fired today, if you're fired tomorrow, if you were fired last week, it's really not as bad as you think it's going to be. Before I got into photography and videography, I did it on the side, did it as a hobby. I really enjoyed it, and made some money here and there on the side. But the job that funded my hobby, my passion, was selling health insurance. So for over a decade, I sold health insurance for a major insurance company that, if I mention their name, you would know who I'm talking about. And I did that for a little over a decade. But I was not happy with my job. Not my passion, not excited. I was good at it, but didn't really enjoy it. My wife and I were expecting our first child, and I kind of got into that panic mode of, wow, I think I need to make more money to provide for my family and my soon-to-be daughter in front of me. And so I started interviewing inside my own company. My daughter was born. I accepted this position. Actually, the day of her birth, they called me and said that the position is mine. I was super excited about it. As excited as you can be for taking on a job that offers you more money, doing something that's different, but still absolutely, honestly, it's boring. You know, I have to admit that it was boring, but it was a goal to achieve, to make more money, to provide for my family. And within a couple weeks, I found out that there were like 5 people in this position over the last year, and every single one of them got fired. Just had my first child. My wife works part-time as a nurse, and this needs to work. I was with this company at the time for 5 years. I accepted this position on a different floor. That was January. By May, I was fired. And I don't even think at that point my wife went back to work. I think she was still at home on maternity leave. And apparently I was on paternity leave because I was without a job. This was a job that I worked hard at. I did my best. And yet I was fired. And the worst thing was no severance, no unemployment. And at the time, this was over a decade ago, finding a job was not as easy in that income bracket that it was before. I learned a lot about my wife during this time. I did learn that, yes, she gets super nervous about these things. She is kind of a worrier. I love her. She might be watching this. She's a worrier. But I also learned that she is super supportive, and she has never said no to anything that I've asked to do. So this first day that I came home fired, I went for a long bike ride, thinking about everything and not sure what I should do. I ended up getting hired by YP. Have you ever heard of YP? Yellow Pages. YP.com. All I knew was this company did Yellow Pages. I knew nothing about it. And yes, I was hired by YP, and right away I had to learn their products, how to sell it to businesses. And that is exactly when I first heard what a 360 interactive tour was. It was one of their products that they offered by a company out in Massachusetts. And I thought, this is pretty cool technology. Maybe this is something that I could do myself. I started working on doing 360s, creating my own platform, and it started to take off and work. Now, this was not a full-time job by all means. I only got a few clients here and there, but it was the beginning of something that I did not see the full picture of that came out of being fired. Fast forward a few years, I'm working for another insurance company, yet I have this little side pet project business that I was doing that's doing 360s. And then real estate agents started reaching out to me asking about these 360 tours. Then I started doing that. They asked me about photography. I said, yes, I could do that. They asked me about video. I said, yes, I could do that. And in no time, I started to decrease my hours selling insurance and doing more hours doing real estate photography and video. Where at one point, 6.5 years ago, I quit my job. I have to remind myself what it felt like 11.5 years ago when I was fired from that position, what that made me feel like, because I don't have that feeling anymore. I am not upset. I am not angry. I was bitter for a very long time, even for a few years, specifically towards the person that got me fired. And yet, as a Christian, as a believer in Jesus, I believe that everything happens for a reason, and this was just providence. It worked out perfectly. My prayer for many, many years was to do what my desire was, and that's video and photography, and I never could figure out how to get there. I would try all these things here and there, yet I would be working the main job that everybody tells you to do, your main work. I always did the jobs that I had to do to make the money that I had to make to provide for my family. And I never could see myself ever doing something creative for a living and making good money doing it. But God can. He totally can see all that stuff. And what it took was me getting fired. So our plans are not always His plans. And I hope that could be somewhat encouraging to you if you're in the position of being fired from a job, because there's something greater out there for you. Now, this isn't a faith-based channel. This isn't specifically about God, Jesus, but I do want to tell you that if you are at your wit's end, if you need encouragement, if you need direction in your life, pray. Talk to the God of the universe that is there to listen. Open up the Bible and read what He has written to you. I just wanted to share that today for all of you that may need that kind of encouragement. Now, for a lot of you that have never been to this channel, this is the first video that you've ever heard of mine. Well, it's not normal. I don't usually talk about these things, but I thought I just wanted to be a little real with you. Usually I talk about photography and video editing, DaVinci Resolve, and tech gear. So if that is something you're interested in, then I would encourage you to subscribe. Know that this is not always the case, but for those of you that have subscribed, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And if you want more being real out there about life in general and getting there, I think there's not enough transparency in the realm of success, because you see the success, but you don't see the failures. You do not see the struggles. You do not see the heartache. And I think it's more sobering for you to see that and for me to see that, because it's encouraging to know that people have failed many times before they became a little successful. And that little success is totally worth all that failure. You just have to hang in there. So, till next time, I'm Jared Hoyman. Take care.